Doctor Who's on.
Oh, Doctor Who's the best.
Fucking love Doctor Who.
Oh, David Tennant is the best Doctor.
No, you're wrong. David Tennant is not the best. Sylvester McCoy is way better, thank you very much.
Sylvester McCoy, the Doctor that killed Doctor Who.
How dare you? He's amazing. It's nothing to do with him. It was down to the show running. You do not know what you're talking about.
Oh, don't I?
No, you don't.
Then how do we sort this out?
Tune in to find out.
Alrighty then.
Hello everyone, and welcome to, I was about to say the podcast, but no, this is just a Doctor Who review. We're going to be talking about our list of ranked Doctors, from least favourite to favourite, because we have differing opinions of the nth degree, because you don't watch much classic Who.
No.
But yeah,
Yeah, so
we're going to go through our lists from our least favourite to favourite. We'll be including John Hurt's Doctor and Joe Martin's. So that means we've got 15 in total. We're not including the Curse of Fatal Death Doctors, or the Scream of the Schalke Doctors, or whatever else Doctors, or the Morbius Doctors, or the Doctors that we saw for 1 second in Timeless Children. We're talking about the canonical Doctors that we've seen perform in at least 1 or 2 episodes.
I got a heart attack when you said Timeless Children. Please don't.
Alright, so at your 15th spot, what is your 15th?
Alright, you guys might hate me for this one, but it's actually the Joe Martin Doctor, because I haven't seen a lot of that stuff. I haven't really kept on track with Whittaker's series, because for me it was too much to watch.
Just saying, she's better than Jody Whittaker.
Yeah, but I couldn't really give myself a honest bit with that, because I haven't really seen that episode a lot.
She's in Time Fracture. She's in that experience that's going on for Doctor Who, and I can't wait to just see her experience it. She's so good. Oh. Anyway, we'll talk about the Doctors in depth as we go through. But yeah, I love Joe Martin. I can't believe you put her last, but at the end of the day, she's not got a full series yet, has she? No. So that's a shame. But my number 15, it's the 5th Doctor.
Really?
I'm sorry, everyone who loves the 5th Doctor.
Ooh.
He's just a bit too cookie cutter for me. Don't take that the wrong way.
Ooh.
The thing is, I haven't watched all of his era, and plus I don't listen to Big Finish that much, and I'm sure that he's great on Big Finish, the audios, but I just don't listen to him that much, okay? Anyway, yeah, what's your number 14?
At number 14, the 6th Doctor.
Ooh,
because
that's a low blow.
that was
that's a cheap shot.
That was the biggest departure from what we kind of already seen for the Doctor, because at first, he's that grumpy guy, he just doesn't really quite fit in. Then slowly, after Unit and after warming up to the humans, he becomes a bit more tolerant of them, he enjoys their company a lot more. And then we get to Pete Davidson and his character, he's a bit more lighter, which for some reason I don't know why you don't like. But then you get to the 6th Doctor, and one of the first things right off the bat he does is strangle his companion.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
When you go from someone who's a bit grumpy, you think maybe he'd be someone who does a bit of a backhand or a smack on the bottom, but you don't really think strangle.
Well, I mean, the thing is that in the context of the story, I'm sure it makes more sense for Twin Dilemma, but at the end of the day, it still works, in my opinion, for the development of the Doctor's character, because you go from being all grumpy to developing into this really kind-hearted person with the 5th Doctor from the 1st Doctor, and then you have to watch The Caves of Androzani to understand, because that was the 5th Doctor's final story, and where everything came crashing down for him, really, and it became this bleak, depressing story for him, and obviously it's his final story, and he sacrificed himself to save Perry and all that jazz. And so maybe subliminally or whatever, that secretly had something to do with the Doctor's relapse in his angry moodiness. Because obviously, Colin Baker was a more brooding Doctor, more like Hartnell, at least in his first series.
I mean, he was very snappy as well, very kind of back chatty and very arrogant a lot of times. His first words to his companion, just 3 what's in the same sentence, beginning to sound rather idiotic. Or whatever. He was very condescending and very out of touch because between Pete Davidson and then Sylvester McCoy, they both were very light and very warming to the companions at some
Suppose.
point. But then this guy, he just felt like nothing at any time. He just felt like he could snap.
I suppose. I think the only reason why I'd rate 6 so low is because of his weak stories. I still appreciate his acting. I think at the end of the day, Sixth Doctor, Colin Baker, had the same issues that Capaldi's era did with bad writing and all that. I think he did very well in the role.
Baker did a good performance of making a very irritable Doctor.
Anyway, right, okay, so number 13 on the list, I've picked... Wait, no, I didn't tell you what my number 14 was.
No, you haven't even said 14.
It's Jody Whittaker.
Ooh.
I do not care much for this current incarnation too much. The reason why she's so low is because I still haven't clicked with her. Like, I genuinely don't feel that spark that I feel with these other Doctors. I felt Capaldi's spark as being the Doctor in Series 8, his first series. I felt Matt Smith's in his first series. I felt David Tennant's in his second series, but still, that's a good sign. It's still like, okay, I can get behind this Doctor. You know what I mean? But I still don't click with Jodie Whittaker, which is a bad sign since she's been present in the role for 3 consecutive years now. Which is a bad sign, like I say.
Very bad.
Plus, like I say, it's not a great first selling point for a female Doctor. And like I say, I think I said this to you the other day. I finally, in Series 12, I felt a good portrayal of a female Doctor, and that wasn't through Jodie Whittaker, that was through Jo Martin in the one episode she was in Series 12.
I feel like I'm done a really big disservice to her now. I need to watch that episode and
she's so fucking good. She's so good as the Doctor. Like, in just half of the episode, she's portraying the Doctor, and then a bit in Timeless Children. I fucking love her performance. She genuinely carries herself exactly how a more authoritative Doctor would, like a Tom Baker or John Pertwee, like very proud, very just not full of herself, very confident in her abilities to just hold the attention of a whole room. I feel Jo Martin has that exact energy that the Doctor needs.
Yeah.
But Jodie Whittaker doesn't really. On the other hand, she just seems very happy-go-lucky, especially after, because the whole character development thing with Capaldi after Smith. Smith was this young man, an old man in a young man's body, and then Capaldi was just admitting that he's old and he's getting on and he doesn't really want to go on much more. There's no character development after Capaldi.
No.
It just goes straight to, I'm happy and young again. Oh, let's skip down the... Jodie's just a bit too bouncy and a bit too whimsical to be contrasting straight after Capaldi, because it doesn't work in the flow of the Doctor's development. You know what I mean? After Capaldi, after a very bleak story with Wild Enough in Time, Doctor Falls of the Sidemen and the Masters, you need a more introverted Doctor after that, really, don't you? Don't you think? I really think so. It would really... It doesn't really
I can
sit
probably,
well with me after that, you know?
I can probably address this further, because 13 is my 13th choice.
Right. Yeah, okay.
So, my issue with the Doctor is similar to yours, but bouncy and that kind of thing. I would actually describe the Doctor as just characterless. She has no individuality. She has no passion for her own wants, and she's not adventurous for the sake of the adventure. She's not scared because she knows what the creature is. Most, if not all, the creatures that she came across in her first series were just new things.
Yeah, that never came back as well.
Yeah, and not only new to the audience, but new to the Doctor. And when you come across somebody like the Doctor, who's travelled for thousands of years through time and space and comes across all kind of shapes and forms, how often should the Doctor really not know what the alien is? Because there was a lot of selling points at times when the Doctor didn't know. Like in Time Heist, where there was that thing with the eyes that zaps your brain into soup.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that was terrifying, especially when you saw what the alien could do.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now we've got this Doctor who just, am I? Is it? Are you? Who are you? Do I know him? What the... There's nothing really to back the Doctor up in 13. There's no compelling writing. There's no, why do you feel bad or why do you feel good? It's just trying to... And also with Chibnall trying to... At the beginning, he was trying to make everything new, trying to get away from the classic.
Yeah.
So then, of course, he has nothing to really go back on, because otherwise he's a hypocrite.
Yeah.
So then, straight after that, with Resolution, he had to start using classic stuff again, because that is Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Can't have Doctor Who without the Daleks or the Cybermen or the Master.
Yeah.
And that's what he ended up realising for Series 12. But yeah, my number 12... number 13 is the Eighth Doctor, is Paul Mcgann.
Ooh.
Now, I love Paul Mcgann. The only thing is that I haven't experienced him that much. At the end of the day, he's in Big Finish a lot. His portrayal is in the books a lot. I haven't really listened to that much Big Finish with the Eighth Doctor. I've listened to his final story with Sheridan Smith as the companion, and then also I've listened to The Zygon Who Fell to Earth. But besides that, we've just got the movie and the prequel Night of the Doctor to go off of, which isn't really enough for me to rank him that high. Even though the movie has a soft spot for me personally, one of the first pieces of Doctor I ever experienced was the movie. And the Night of the Doctor, the prequel, is actually pretty sick. But there isn't really too much going for it besides that, I'm afraid. At least for me personally. I know that if I listened to more Big Finish, I'd appreciate that his portrayal is superb. And I'm sure it is. But I haven't got there yet, which is why he's ranked so low. Anyway, that's me.
My number 12 is actually the second Doctor. And I don't know what it was about watching the second Doctor, but I mean, I could get behind his character coming off of William Hartnell, but it felt a bit similar, and it felt a bit more watered down in some cases. And then he had obviously a lot of his own tweaks and flings. Like I remember this one scene where he's jumping away from all those lasers and he's hopping down the street. That was pretty funny. And
that was the Invasion, I think that was from.
Yeah, but ultimately it didn't feel too much of a shift in character for me. It felt similar, but not too similar. But it was still not necessarily a Doctor or the journeys that I could really. I mean, there were some pretty interesting aliens in that one in his time, like the Great Intelligence being introduced. The Yeti I felt quite humorous.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, it was just.
It hurts me that you put in this low. I mean, I didn't rank him too far behind yours, but it's still sad because, like, I strongly disagree. I think he's very different from Hartnell's portrayal. I really highly disagree with that. I think that a lot of Matt Smith's performance is thanks to Patrick Troughton. I genuinely think you just haven't seen enough. Like, genuinely, there are so many banger stories from the second Doctor. I genuinely adore his era. Like, his performance is great. His companions are pretty much, they're fine. I don't usually have issues with companions, but when I do, it's annoying. But I don't think there's any companions of his era that I dislike. Like, genuinely, there are so many stories in his era. The Seeds of Death is superb. I love the Moon Base. I love Tomb of the Cybermen, Power of the Daleks, the War Games. I love it. Enemy of the World. There's so many good ones in his era. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Yeah, my number 12 is the Sixth Doctor. Speaks for itself, you know. I can't really rank him too high because he's not my favourite. I don't hate him though. I do appreciate him. I love Vengeance on Varos. The can't fucking speak today. The Trial of a Time Lord is an amazing series. I think it's actually criminally underrated.
I feel like they should bring back the Valiard for something else as well.
Oh yeah. I think it'd be great. Then also I love Revelation of the Daleks. Also, I have a soft spot for Time Lash. Don't at me, please. Anyway, there we go. Right, that's now my number 12.
Ooh.
What's your number 11?
My number 11 is the Eighth Doctor.
Okay, fair enough.
And the reason why for that is I didn't actually do a lot of the radio stuff. I've only ever seen the movie and Night of the Doctor. And I think it's a case of too little not enough done. Yeah. Especially with the movie and the whole kind of America kind of taking it a bit too far with him on a motorbike and Eye of Harmony. The Eye of Harmony thing was a bit fun. I have a soft spot for the movie, but I can see that. It's
I mean, I ranked him lower than you.
Yeah, compared to the stuff I got introduced to New Who at first, so that's kind of my heart. But even with this, it's that little break in between, and it didn't click as either classic or new, and even Night of the Doctor.
It's a weird in between, isn't it? That movie, especially
trying to be its own thing, and it was kind of like It was like imagine classic and new being two platforms. 8 was a hop.
Yeah, I can see that definitely.
So yeah, it's less exposure than most, especially less than the War Doctor, obviously, and less than Joe Martin. But no, more than Warren, more than Joe. But yeah, at the same time, it just doesn't really bring a lot to it.
Yeah. Where did you put War then? Because we haven't said.
War is high.
Oh,
for me.
Well, fair enough. Right, next on my list is the First Doctor. Now, the thing is about this is that I like every Doctor, which is why I keep praising each of these Doctors, even though they're like way down on my list. I like every performance of the Doctor, to be honest. There isn't really one I dislike. Jody Whittaker is close, but it's like I don't hate. There's nothing. It's harmless. It's not hurting me, so it's fine. But yeah, the first Doctor, his era is gold. It's the only era where you have like pure historical stories, like in the Aztecs or the Romans. I fucking love the Crusaders, and I'm so annoyed they still haven't animated it. It's pissing me off. Animate Crusaders or recover it. I don't care. I want Crusaders back. Also, Dalek's Master Plan, Dalek Invasion Earth. It's great. And also, he's the first. You can't beat the first. Without him, there wouldn't be anything. So, yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, even though he's my 11th space, just barely kicked off on my top 10, he's still brilliant. And I still love him. And I love that you see a clear progression of his character from a grumpy, bitter old man to a kind, sweet, loving granddad figure. You know what I mean? Great. I fucking love that. Anyway, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is the 5th Doctor.
Fair enough.
Because I saw a bit of a parallel in him, like, so he comes off the back from Tom Baker, who at the time is the most popular, he's the most iconic, and he had a big pair of shoes to fill, and I think in his own way he did that very nice.
I didn't think about that.
He had a lighter appeal. He wasn't
Plus,
necessarily
Tom Baker was there for 7 years.
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah.
So he definitely had an expectation, and I think he landed it pretty well for what he was doing. He was pretty much in the shadow a lot of Tom Baker because that's who a whole generation was growing up with, but ultimately I think what he did was pretty sound. I liked his character. I liked how things were going with his companions. I liked the aliens as well. It wasn't necessarily as memorable as a lot of them in my mind. I know that when I saw your poster, you have a giant poster, and I was struggling
to name the aliens that were in his era. Yeah,
that giant wasp one as well. What was that one called again? The Wixen.
The Wirren. That was the fourth Doctor. That was the fourth Doctor one. You didn't realise.
Oh
that
my
was
god.
The fifth Doctor.
Aliens are my crux in classic. Yeah.
But no, I can agree with that. Fifth Doctor, that's true. I do have a soft spot for him as well. It's a shame that he came dead last for me. It could have been anyone. Anyway, on my number 10 spot, we have the second Doctor. Narrowly higher than yours, but still, I've already sung his praises, but I love the second Doctor. I love his era, I love his companions, I love everything about him. He's just wacky. I love him. He's just got great energy to it, you know? Like, after Hartnell, when you watch, like, a marathon from Hartnell to Troughton, I see a clear difference. He's so much more bubbly and energetic, and it's just so fun to watch his era, you know? And,
Fair enough.
I've already said everything I need to say for the second Doctor before, so... What's your ninth?
My ninth is the 7th Doctor. And...
I feel my heart crack.
I'm sorry. With the 7th Doctor, I liked him because he had quirks, but he was also very sensible and a bit wiser, because I think this was near the time when they were fearing that it was going to be cancelled, so they had to kind of wrap it up in a way. And, his Doctor, it had a lot of fire sometimes, and then a lot of fire sometimes. But what brought him down was a lot of the aliens, in my mind, because it was at that point where...
I disagree strongly, but okay, you just continue, sorry.
For me, there were a lot of aliens that felt rather weak compared to the other things that came before it. There was this one with a very lot... It looked like a what was it, a popsicle stick something? Popsicle stick robot with a bobble head.
Oh yeah, no, that's the Candyman.
Oh,
he's
the
amazing.
Candyman.
He's amazing. What are you on about?
I mean,
the Candyman.
This could be just me being from more of a new Who guy than a classic.
The Candyman's great. What are you on about?
I remember the first time I looked at that and I thought, were people really scared of this?
They weren't. That's the joke. It was just good. It was just funny to watch.
But,
that hurts.
Yeah.
I'm not going to defend 7th Doctor. I'm going to wait until we get to him
Ace
on my list.
was a great companion. I do love Ace.
Fucking hope so. Anyway, right, my 9th spot is the War Doctor, John Hurt. Now, originally, there was a time where this guy was in my top 5. He's now number 9. He's still great. Like I say, I love him. Now, there just isn't enough of his stuff. And the fact that he's passed away just means we'll never get any more of his stuff on audio. And it's so fucking sad. Because he was great. In Day of the Doctor, he was my favourite part of Day of the Doctor. Genuinely. Like, oh my god, so fucking good. Also, like, Okay, so I've listened to his first box set of Big Finish, Only the Monstrous. Jesus Christ, that's a good box set. Like, genuinely so good. Like, he fits as well. He's the perfect Doctor that you can see him fighting Daleks on the battlefield in the Time War. He's the Doctor that would be doing that, you know? So, yeah. I love the War Doctor. The only reason he's this low is because there isn't enough of his stuff for me to base my opinion on him. But I love him, though. I love his performance. There's nothing wrong with John Hurt's performance. Brilliant. He's the most doctory looking Doctor, like an Indiana Jones-esque Doctor.
The irony
Brilliant.
is, he's not meant to be that Doctor.
Yep.
He's meant to be that kind of secret thing that you just shrug away because you're too embarrassed.
Yeah. Fucking love it. Anyway, yeah, what's your number 8, right?
My number 8 is the third Doctor.
Oh, Jesus!
I'm sorry.
Spitting on my chips right now.
again, I'm a new
Oh my
guy.
God.
The third Doctor, I
That's
loved
weird.
the story about him being grounded on Earth. You know, he had the TARDIS taken away, he starts working for UNIT. The stuff with the Silurians and the Sea Devils.
Stuff.
I loved that episode with the Sea Devils. It was a lot of fun for me watching that. But yeah, then when he gets his TARDIS back, he also has that fun little car. And there was a lot of things in that one which they were starting to come out their shell a sense, because this was the first one that he's starting to be less of a grumpy man. He's doing all these kind of wacky things. He's even taking up the fencing, and first time you get a really good glimpse of the Master. You know, he's introduced, and that first Master I think was a very terrifying character because there was suave as well as that insanity behind it.
Best Master we ever got, in my opinion. So good. All I'll say for now, until we get to the third Doctor on my list. He's brilliant. He's the most James Bond of the Doctors. He's brilliant. He's very of the time of the 70s. I love him. He's brilliant. Brilliant stories. Brilliant companions. I think he's got a great era and great. He's a great Doctor as well. Great look as well. Very iconic. Anyway, my number 8 is number 9. It's Christopher Eccleston. For the same reasons as the War Doctor, we got one season with him and that's it. We're now starting to get some audios from Big Finish, so my opinion may change. I love the first series of the reboot. So good. It made my childhood. Those stories, so good. There's barely any duds in there. Like, we even watched Boomtown the other day, and I fucking loved it. Like genuinely, such a good Doctor. And I'm glad that we're finally starting to get some audio dramas of him actually voicing his own role now. So, you know, my opinion may and probably will change when that starts to get into circulation, and I can start experiencing more of his stuff beyond just what we got in the TV show. But yeah, that's me, Ninth Doctor, in number 8.
At number 7 for me is the first Doctor. And the reason for that being is because he felt like an actual alien. He felt like it was the great way to start off. He wasn't already indoctrinated into the way of humanity. He was very grumpy, very uneducated in how humans really think, and also the stories as well, where there being a lot more history focused, because Doctor Who started off as an educational thing. And it handled that.
It had
really
all these
well.
epic historical stories.
Yeah. And then the way that they introduced all the aliens, the Daleks. I think I was actually more scared about the Cybermen at the 10th planet than I was about the Daleks. Because the Daleks at the time, they just looked like a box.
Tin pepper pots.
Yeah. But then you look at the Cybermen, those rubber zombies almost, and they those were horrifying.
Yeah.
And I remember my reaction to them in the 10th planet was stronger than seeing them in World Enough in Time when Bill is a Mondasian Cyberman. And I remember I was more shocked with Mondasian in World Enough in Time because of the nostalgia, as opposed to actually the frightening part of it.
Yeah.
But the first.
Plus, they make them fly.
Oh yeah, which is a bit weird.
Anyway, So I love the first Doctor. Yeah, I can wholeheartedly agree with that. My number 7 is the Ruthless Doctor, or Joe Martin's Doctor, or the Roof Doctor, or the what the fuck ever Doctor. She is my number 7. If we had a full series of her, she would be top 3. I can guarantee it. She may even become my favourite of all time. If we got a full series of her as the mainstay Doctor and no one else, not Jody Whittaker or anything, we just have Joe Martin in the role, maybe a companion or two with her, I genuinely think she'd become my favourite Doctor. And that's why I am begging BBC to cast her after Jodie Whittaker. I know it's like, but she said she's from the past Doctor. I'm like, no, just Just make her the next one. She's perfect.
There's a lot of things you can retcon in that series that you just need to retcon.
Yeah,
Please.
No, genuinely, Jo Martin portrayed the Doctor perfectly. I think I've already said this, but she carries herself perfectly. She has the great demeanour that the Doctor needs as a character. I think she's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant Doctor, if you ask me. Like I say, she would become top 3, maybe even my favourite, depending on how well it goes if we had a full season with her. Anyway, that's me over with Ruth.
At number 6 for me is the War Doctor.
Damn.
And I loved the War Doctor for being that shameful side of the Doctor, the one who indulged in the war, who fought, and then would be the one that would ultimately make that choice of destroying Gallifrey. And you think, how did the Doctor actually react to doing this? Was he proud? Was he angry? Was he mad?
Well, then we get to see that in Day of the Doctor.
And it's very depressing, really, that he's already carrying that weight. He's not going to this blindly thinking, oh, I just press a button and the war's over. He knows what that thing's going to do.
Everyone,
And that big debate, that whole episode is him making that decision. Am I going to do it or am I not? It wasn't easy for him. And John Hurt carries that so well. I loved it. Even only in the one episode that we got, a far stronger character was developed through and throughout than Whittaker's done in 3 years.
Yeah.
Probably more a problem on Chibnall's behalf, but...
all the same,
yeah. Just the War Doctor, you can tell he's so sure, and then all of a sudden he's not.
Yeah.
And even after meeting his future incarnations, he still goes back, and there's still that moment where even he gets his future selves to take part in it, and it's because of a companion that changes their mind. It's not even the Doctor's choice to change it until he gets a bit of words of wisdom from a companion. But even then, it just kicks in so well.
Yeah, I can agree with that wholeheartedly. Brilliant. Love John Hurt. My number 6 is number 10.
I'm out.
He was right near the bottom a few years ago, so count your blessings. So, the 10th Doctor, he's good. He's a very good Doctor, hence why I put him in number 6, barely scraping out of the top 5. Genuinely, I really like him. He has nostalgia in most of his era. Okay, one of the reasons why he's this high is his acting and the writing that he had as well. Jesus Christ, there is barely any stories in his era that I actually skip. There are so many good ones. Like, just most of Series 3 is just gold. There's barely anything in there that I don't like in Series 3. Series 4 is also superb. Series 2 has some hit and miss ones, but mostly it's good as well. And the special season as well, where we had Planet of the Dead. Planet of the Dead, not too fond of. But Waters of Mars, one of the best episodes I think we've ever had.
Yes.
In the show. Also, End of Time, I could take it or leave it. I don't hate it. I think it's alright. I think it's an alright story, End of Time. So, he had an alright departure. Great introduction in Christmas Invasion. And then, I think he's had a very solid, era. And that's why he's this high for me. He used to be lower on the list. And that's the sort of thing that happens when you're a fan that's getting engrossed in the classic series. You have this necessity to hate on a Doctor that's from the new series and that's current and modern. But now I'm like, he's quite good. So I've admitted defeat, and now he's at number 6. So yeah. So now top 5s.
My 5th is number 12, Peter Capaldi.
Snap.
Oh, well,
yeah, number 12.
Let's talk about that
also
one
my
together.
5th.
So that Doctor for me, when it started off that this was going to be the 12th Doctor, the final incarnation, because 13 lives, everyone was thinking, oh, how's that going to work?
No, because Time of the Doctor was this whole thing about 13 lives, because the 11th Doctor was going to be the last one because of time.
I might have forgotten that bit because I was so hyped about the 12th being...
Oh yeah, Peter Capaldi, what a good actor. I genuinely, Peter Capaldi is the best actor to grace the role. I genuinely heartedly believe it. I mean, there are Doctors that I prefer, but I genuinely think that Peter Capaldi has the best acting chops. Out of all of them, he's the most talented man to play the Doctor.
But it was such a waste of talent in that first one, in Series 8.
No,
so many
Series 8
dud
is his
episodes.
best series.
No, the one where they turned London into a forest. What the hell was that?
Yeah, that's a low blow.
Pixie dust, just indoctrinating a kid into the middle of a circle.
What other bad ones are there? Name any other bad ones.
Deep Breath for me was...
No, that one's amazing!
It was a snore!
That was such a good one!
It was a snore for me.
Oh my god, that was so good!
I mean, for first time episodes,
God.
I mean, obviously nothing is worse
Jesus.
than Whittaker because her 3 series are basically just first episodes. But no, it's just I couldn't get behind that first series, especially when you sell the Doctor out in his first time. That was meant to be the gritty one, the one where he's war-hardened and just giving up on life.
I think Deep Breath is great. I love that episode so much. It's nowhere near as good as like 11th Hour or Rose as introduction episodes, but it's so good. I really like that one.
I couldn't click with that one because it wasn't exciting enough for me.
The show is so gritty in Series 8. You have Deep Breath, you have Listen, you have Mummy on the Orient Express, you have Flatline, you have Caretaker. Any of these ringing a bell?
Flatline and Caretaker.
Banger episodes.
No, the Flatline one, the only thing that felt really funny about that one is just the TARDIS shrinking for me. The stories in them, I just could not find exciting.
I love those.
The reason why I love Capaldi, though, the reason why he's there is because he, as a Doctor, is thrilling. And I was telling you this, my favourite speech in all of Doctor Who is his war speech in the Zygon inversion. Yeah. That speech kicks every time because not only is it so relevant, but it's powerful because it resonates both with him and with just the human conscience. And it is a beautiful piece of writing. In my opinion, one of the best things that show has ever put out. Yeah. Just that speech.
It's a great scene, and I was very proud of the community when they spammed that on Twitter with the whole ISIS thing that was going on at the time.
And Capaldi's delivery of that, it was gold.
Beautiful, yeah.
Not even my number one could have done that speech justice. He did that perfectly.
Yeah. I think Capaldi has such a good such a good acting, and at the end of the day, you can make a bad script good. Like I genuinely think he can deliver lines in such a good way, even though they're crappy. Genuinely. So Under the Lake Before the Flood, one of my favourite stories of all time, probably my favourite new series episode ever. That two-parter is golden. Also, Heaven Sent. Do I need to say more?
Nope.
So good. And Series 10, actually not bad. I don't mind most of Series 10. The only thing I actively dislike is like the Monk trilogy because it's a bit naff. Yeah. And then there was that story...
The Oxygen story when he actually...
Oh, that one was so good!
And I loved the ending of that because it wasn't just a quick fix and he's back to normal. He's still blind.
I wish that stuck for the rest of his era. I wish that he was blind until his regeneration. That would have been such a great button hook at the end of his era. But yeah, and then obviously I'm not the biggest fan of the story by Rona Munro. It was the Eaters of the Light one with the Romans.
Not the biggest
fan of that one.
It felt like it was meant to be some sort of mythological thingy,
but it was just a bit whatever, isn't it?
Oh, but no, the what is it? The Empress of Mars.
Oh, that one was quite good. I quite liked it.
It was a very. I still could. I watched that episode about 5 times now. I still don't get why they put, Victorian men on Mars. It just seemed like that little stretch of suspension of disbelief. But even then, it just felt. How?
I really liked that story, to be honest. I think it was fun. It was a very fun adventure. I think it was a great sort of Ice Warrior story for the new series. But yeah, Capaldi's a great actor, and I think his era is hit and miss, but mostly it's hit. So yeah, right, okay, number 4 for you is
Number 4 is the 11th Doctor.
Ooh, okay.
And the reason for that being because this one was the widest range of character. He was childish, he was silly, he was emotional, he was angry, he was depressed in some points, and then he was all range of the spectrum. And coming off the Who's of David Tennant, he felt very out of control in a sense because he wasn't held back. He was more impulsive, more erratic, and there were a lot of things that he'd do a bit more extremely.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it worked for him because he was looking at things with such a new sense of vision, and he was very excitable and very impressionable. And there were a lot of things that he did that I felt were really heartwarming, like the bit where he talks to babies, is I speak everything. There was a lot of things about him that were very encapsulating, and you could just dream a happy time with him, and it was just it made you feel relaxed seeing him sometimes.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the thing is he has a similar problem as Capaldi, with most of his era is a bit hit and miss with writing. Like Series 5 though is so good.
Oh, definitely.
Series 6 has a couple stories that I like in Series 6, and then Series 7 as well has some good ones in Series 7, but it's very pick your battles with those. But yeah, my number 4 is number 3. John Pertwee, the one that you put in fucking 9 or whatever. He's brilliant. He's the first Doctor in colour television at the time, by the way.
8.
Okay, well, whatever then, Mr. Fucking whatever. Fake fan. I think John Pertwee has the most consistently good era of the whole show. I think if you look through series 7, 8, 9, 10, I think it's and 11. If you look at those eras, there really aren't that many episodes that are bad. There are not many that I actually skip and dislike. The only ones I can think of off the top of my head are like The Mutants, or maybe The Curse of Peladon, or Day of the Daleks is kind of naff to me personally. Colony in Space, not bad. And then that's really it of the ones that I actively dislike. The rest of them are either decent or superb. There are some amazing ones like Green Death, Frontier in Space, Planet of the Spiders. You have fucking Inferno, Spearhead from Space, Terror of the Zygons, Death to the Daleks. There are just so many good ones in his era. Like I just really love. And his companions, you have Sarah Jane in his era, you have Joe Martin in his era, you have Liz Shaw in his era, you have the Unit going through half of his era as well. With the Brigadier, you have...
Oh, Brigadier!
Genuinely so good. I think the Third Doctor's era is the one that I love to just sit down, and if I ever have time to, I just marathon it. The amount of times I've marathoned Series 7, like Spearhead from Space, Doctor and the Silurians, Ambassador Zeph and Inferno. Those are 4 back-to-back bangers. Season 7 is genuinely just flawless. I love just watching that front to back. And then Season 8 is also pretty good, from Terror of the Zygons to Day of the Daleks, I think, or Daemons. Genuinely, it is such a solid era, and just back-to-back brilliant episodes throughout his era. And I love it. Obviously, amazing actor as well. Like I said, the costume is iconic. His acting's iconic. Bessie, his car as well, is iconic. And the Who-mobile as well, with the flying one in the Planet of the Spiders. Anyway, I love John Pertwee. He's so good. Anyway, yeah. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is the 9th Doctor, Eccleston.
Wow. Okay.
One season, but even still, I think he did that one a lot of justice. He didn't really need to have a lot of range for his character, because this was the one coming straight off the back of the Time War.
He's war-hardened, very...
War-hardened, but also very gloomy, very self-destructive to himself.
Yeah.
He didn't have that energy to kind of boost him up anymore. He wasn't adventurous as much. He was grounded. He was upset and very mad at himself, especially in episodes like Dalek. That for me is one of my favourite episodes of Doctor Who.
Because it's a damn good one.
It's the first time that a Dalek is brought back into New Who. The first time you see that, and you see his interaction. You see him not only hating the Daleks, of course, because of everything he's done, but he's projecting as well, because he's blaming them for his choice to kill his own people as well.
Yeah.
He's making fun of him. He wants to kill him again, and then one of the best lines of that is just, "You would make a good Dalek."
Yeah.
I love that line. And it may have been overused a bit in New Who since then, but the first time it was used then, just that so suspense, it kicks. Yeah. That whole episode was just...
so good. Oh yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Genuine, I like the 9th Doctor a lot. Alright, my number 3, the 11th Doctor. My favourite New Who Doctor, because we've gone through all of them now for me.
Yeah.
I love Matt Smith's Doctor. I genuinely just feel so much happiness and nostalgia when I watch his stuff. Like, one of my favourite stories of all time, A Town Called Mercy. I know it's an underrated one. I fucking love it. I genuinely love the Western style of that episode. I'm not even a big fan of Westerns. And the gunslinger, everything about it, and how Sharaz Jex, he mirrors the Doctor in a lot of ways, being the Doctor of that town, but also being in a war and he had to genocide people or whatever. I think it's a great episode, and I think Matt Smith coming off of like characters like Sharaz Jex, or I can't think of any other characters off the top of my head. Like, just there's all these villains.
Isaac the
like,
Sheriff.
Oh no, I think in general in his era.
Oh,
but yeah, no, I think in general. But yeah, genuinely such a good Doctor. I think his acting's great. I love his acting in Time of the Doctor. By the way, like you see, because his whole era is about, like I say, I've said this before, an old man in a young man's body. And it's just Time of the Doctor is his progression of him accepting that he's an old man and he needs to move on from his childish, way.
One of my favourite...
At the end, when he's an old man and he's like facing the Daleks, and he has to regenerate.
Yeah.
Or not die.
I liked one little cheeky line that was in there just before he goes up to meet the Daleks, where they're doing the crack the little joke about the clock striking 12. So he's sitting there. There's that child. He's still got a bit of a childish greeting. Yeah. And again.
I thought you were talking about the other bit where he goes upstairs and goes, "Thing about Daleks is they take ages to do anything. They'll probably die of boredom before they even shoot me."
Yeah.
Which is such a great nod to how they just shout "exterminate" and don't do anything about it. But yeah, I love the 11th Doctor. He is genuinely brilliant. His first episode aired on my birthday, which just is another little sweet thing that I have about him and about his era and about Doctor Who, and I just love it. I love his era. I love Amy Pond and Rory Williams. That trio is fucking brilliant. I love that TARDIS team. That's probably my favourite TARDIS team of the whole show.
What about Rose, Jack and Mickey and...
It's good. It's good. It's not as good as Amy and Rory, I'm afraid.
Okay, fair enough.
Genuinely, they are a treasure to watch. I love them to pieces. Even in stories that aren't as good, in like Series 6 or whatever, like, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Let's Kill Hitler, so they're not... I mean, I still enjoy watching them, which just shows how good they are together as a trio. But yeah, I'll shut up now. I love the 11th Doctor so much. Right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is the 4th Doctor, Tom
Snap.
Baker. This guy for me sold Classic Who, because there was the first story that I wanted to watch from Classic Who is Genesis of the Daleks.
Bang.
I wanted to see. I wasn't just interested in seeing how the Daleks were made, and that Davros moment, but there was a line in there, just that moment where he's got the two wires. Do I have the right? And that's the beginning of that sort of mentality that the Doctor has, where he's not just going about just sauntering through, just thinking he can just have his way with everyone. He has a conscience, and he has, even with the most destructive aliens in the universe, he still can't go to their level.
He still can't genocide them or whatever.
No.
I genuinely... The thing is, well, I will say, his era isn't perfect. He definitely did peak early in terms of quality of his stories. I think season 12 and 13 and 14 are his best, in that order as well. That one, 12 best, 13 second best, and 14 next best. Season 12 happens to be my favourite run of episodes of the whole show. You have the giant robot episode, you have Ark in Space, you have Sontaran Experiment, you have Genesis Daleks and your Revenge of the Cybermen. 5 back-to-back amazing stories. I think I have watched through season 12 more than anything else in Doctor Who. From front to back, all of that season, genuinely. I love it. There's so much good in there. And then I can even continue on into season 13 and watch amazing stories like Android Invasion, or like Terror of the Zygons, or Brain of Morbius, and I still have a fucking amazing time. Yeah. So good. And obviously he has great companions for the most part. I love Sarah Jane and Harry Sullivan, another amazing TARDIS team. I love Leela as well, and also I do like Romana as well. I don't know why they had to recast her, but all the same, good.
There is one kind of thing that did...
Don't like Adric, though. Anyway.
There is one bit that did irk me about the 4th Doctor, and it's a very small detail. It's his regeneration and the Watcher, coming into him. And I'm thinking, is his body going to be the Watcher, or is him coming into the Doctor causing a regeneration?
The Watcher was the 5th Doctor, though. The Watcher was a form of Peter Davidson's Doctor, because it was explained in Logopolis how the Watcher was following him throughout the whole thing, because it was waiting for the Doctor's final moments to save him and make him regenerate.
I think it was because at the time I wasn't used to how Classic Who dealt with regeneration. So for me,
weird and different.
I mean, if you start off with Classic Who and then you go into New Who, and every time he regenerates, it's just orange glowing. Yeah. So that might feel a bit weird to you guys, but yeah, to me, considering how First Doctor, there's that whitewash, and then all of a sudden it changes to him, and then Second Doctor, there's all those spinning heads, and the next thing you see there.
That isn't when he regenerates. That's just him in the Matrix. He regenerates off screen, which is why people think that Joe Martin was between the 2nd and 3rd Doctor. So. Because you didn't see the face change, because it just,
and then you have the 3rd Doctor going into 4th, which is just another kind of wipe. But then all of a sudden you have now a guy just walking into his body, and that to me, at the time, just didn't click like a regeneration. It felt like more of a transformation. Which in a sense is regeneration.
The exact same thing, but I get what you mean though. It's a bit weird coming from New Who, but yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a really unique way to do it. I think it added suspense, because it's like, who is the Watcher? As you're watching Logopolis, because I'm sure at the time there was like news that Tom Baker was stepping down from the role. It's like, when is he going to die? And then when you're watching Logopolis, you see this Watcher guy's like, is this Watcher going to kill the Doctor? And then when the Master kills the Doctor or lets him fall or something in Logopolis, so the Watcher was the Doctor waiting to become anew or whatever that. Yeah, I quite liked it personally, but yeah, I love the Fourth Doctor. Tom Baker, amazing performance. I've met him, by the way, just showing off.
Now I'm jealous.
He's so good. He's iconic for a reason. He has the long scarf. He has the red velvet jacket. He has
his voice as well. That
booming,
voice.
Iconic voice.
That sounds like a good Doctor right there. It's demanding, but it's also very. I don't know how to put it, but it sounds inviting. You know, like you want to go on an adventure with him.
But he's also alien as well. He feels a lot more alien, a lot more erratic, and I feel like that really is a cool way to portray the Doctor in a much more alien way. Because obviously, at the end of the day, you're going to watch the show from the companion's perspective anyway. So to have a more mysterious character leading the show, I think it's really cool to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your number one? We all know what it is.
Yeah, we all know. My number one is the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. And it's actually quite ironic thinking how, you know, we liked the alien part of the 4th Doctor, but then what made the 10th Doctor more controversial is that most people would consider him as the most human Doctor. You know, he's becoming more human, hanging out with Rose, falling in love, that dilemma.
Yeah.
And some people don't like the idea of him feeling like regeneration is dying, because that isn't really that kind of thing. Yeah, but for me, what sold David Tennant's portrayal is the fact that there were a lot more human aspects of him, where he was kind of more... What's the word? He was going native, as it were. He wasn't just...
Well, I mean, his planet was dead as far as he could tell, so where else would he go?
He saw Earth as his second home, and he was the most... Oh, I could watch him forever. My favourite series in all of that, Series 4. For me, there is not one episode of Series 4 that I could skip. It was all back-to-back. David and Catherine, they are great chemistry. I think that is the best Doctor-companion duo.
It's good. It's not my personal favourite, but I can agree it's a damn good one. It's a damn good
and what I loved the most about David is the way that he handled things when he snapped. So when the Doctor gets really dark and he picks up a gun, his rage scared me. But then there was the best moment, the best example of that is in The Doctor's Daughter. He's just seen his daughter die.
I never would.
Another whole relapse of his life just being taken away. He has a gun, he could kill it, and he's still the better man. He inspires me every day. Every time I see that, it just inspires me, because that is a good man right there. He gave it all, and it felt real. I couldn't love David's portrayal anymore, because that for me sold as, in my opinion, the best Doctor.
Fair enough. Like I say, he's good. I like him a lot. Like I say, he's one of the first Doctors I experienced. Well, actually, no, that's a big lie. He's the first Doctor I watched consecutively as the show was airing, but just behind Eccleston, obviously. But yeah, my number one was Ebony Doubt, Sylvester McCoy. I fucking love his Doctor. Of all the Big Finish that I've listened to, the stuff I've heard of his is the best for me. We Are the Daleks, brilliant story. I fucking love Master, the story with Jeffrey Beavers. One of the best audio dramas I've ever heard in my life. Also, I have a soft spot for most of his era. There's nothing in his era that I dislike. Genuinely. Time in the Rani, I like it. Bite me. I fucking love it. Paradise Towers, fucking love it. It's so damn good. Delta and the Bannerman, it makes me laugh. I love it. Dragonfire, also really good. Remembrance of the Daleks happens to be one of my favourite episodes of all time. My absolute number one. That's that. Happiness Patrol, fun. I love it. Candyman, you can't go wrong with that. Silver Nemesis, also brilliant. The Cybermen are at their evilest. That's not a word. Love it. Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Just speaks for itself. It's so good. Fucking Battlefield. You get the Brigadier coming back. You can't go wrong with that. Ghostlight. Creepy, atmospheric, ghost story. Really good. Curse of Fenric. Hemovores. Just so good. And then Survival. Happens to be one of the best ways they could have ended the show, because it wasn't even meant to be cancelled, and it did, and then they were like, okay, we'll throw Survival at the end, because it ends with a brutal fist fight between Sylvester McCoy and Anthony Ainley as the Master, and it's so cool because the planet's burning around them and everything's falling apart, and then I love it. I think Survival's the really fitting way to end the classic series. If there was ever a way to end it, that's the best way. I love Sylvester McCoy. I love Ace as a companion. I also loved Mel as a companion for the first series. I love the Seventh Doctor. It can't be overstated. So good. Oh, god damn, my throat is gone now. But yeah, that's it. I love the Seventh Doctor. There's nothing else to it. I just do. His outfit is iconic. The question mark
To be
umbrella.
fair, every Doctor has their own good look. I mean,
well, not all of them.
Well, everyone has their iconic one. I think the dullest one was probably 13th.
Yeah, which is iconic. And well, no, iconic. It's
Iconic for
ironic.
ripping off everyone else.
Yeah, I love the Seventh Doctor so much. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I love the Seventh Doctor, so screw you.
Screw you.
Yeah, screw you.
Yeah, anyway. That's it. We're done. That's our list of our favourite Doctors in order from least best to best. Hope you enjoyed. If you want, you can leave yours in the comments if you want. If not, that's fine too.
See which one you agree with more. Do you think 10th or 7th?
The 7th is so good.
10th is better.
No, it's not. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good time.